Wrong Side of the Pond podcast. Jeremy Lance, DJ Schweitzer, here again.
Getting nasty.
We're back.
We are.
I don't know why we wouldn't be back.
Well, it took us.
I don't know who's firing us.
Yeah, no one's gonna fire us. I mean, we could quit.
We had some hurdles to jump through to get to today.
We did. We took our sweet time actually recording this.
It's Sunday. We both had excuses.
We did.
My body, just stopped working. So that was a problem.
Yeah, no one wants to come record when you can't even speak.
And you once again made the foolish decision of playing 90 minutes.
Yeah, I'm getting way too old for that.
What are you doing? What are you, insane?
Well, I'm committed, and I don't want to let my team down.
Do you feel like you'll eventually, that your stamina level will, kind of get over the hump and you'll be able to...
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling more fit.
Okay.
But I feel it so much longer after the match these days. I just ache.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just getting old, I guess.
Do you go ice bath or hot bath?
Oh, man.
It's the age-old discussion. What's better for the muscle?
Back in the day when I was playing in college, I loved the ice bath.
Oh, yeah.
The
big trough there.
The big trough, you could climb into it. It was really easy to get an ice bath back in the day. Now, I have to stand in front of my freezer for, 10 minutes trying to fill up a bag of ice.
You could just stop at, a UDF on the way.
I could, but I'm cheap.
People sell bags of ice.
Yeah.
You can get it.
Yeah, it's true. Either way, because I'm cheap.
There's work involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of work. Yeah, exactly.
When you're not.
And I do like a nice hot shower after a match. So.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. So either way, I'm getting too old for this crap. I'm a left back, so I don't run that much, but I do run a bit. So if the other teams would just, quit knocking it over my head, yeah, it'd be a lot better.
Keep the ball in the grass?
Yeah, keep it on the ground, boys. Let me just cut off the passing angles. Don't go over my head because I've lost my step.
So that was Sunday.
Yep.
Yesterday, Monday, because if you haven't figured it out now yet, this is a Tuesday that we're recording this.
Right.
Monday, I thought I had a thing. I thought I had to go cover a stupid baseball game, and then it turns out I didn't.
Huh.
So I was like, I'm good to go. And you're like, yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. So I was ready to go, but then when you said you weren't ready to go.
You made plans?
Well, I didn't really make plans. My wife made plans for me.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. So thanks, wife. I love you. But we couldn't record the podcast because of you, and I won't hold this over your head.
So, sounds like you're doing exactly that.
Well, she won't listen to this.
Oh, okay.
So we're okay.
All right, so big show. Obviously, we got all the weekend action. I guess we say every week is a big week, so that's going to become a bit redundant.
It will. But it was a big week.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a big week in the EPL. Obviously, big story is Liverpool losing. Chelsea won, which is in many ways more rare.
Yeah, that has gotten a little rare lately.
City completely blows away United. Not sure where that came from.
Nope, we'll get into that.
We spent the past couple weeks just talking about how anemic they've looked out there.
Yep, and here they come, just blowing the lid off the Manchester Derby.
And then, of course, we had our first sacking of the year.
Yep, that went down.
And it went down in glorious fashion with a fan confrontation and all.
What more can you expect from Paulo Di Canio?
He was just trying to tell him, hey, keep your chin up.
Keep your chin up.
Keep your chin up, guys.
From Paulo Di Canio with love.
We totally just got owned by a team that couldn't score to save their life for the past couple of weeks. But, hey, keep your chin up.
Keep your chin up.
I'm fired in the morning.
Yeah, there were a lot of big games. Let's start with...
Where do you want to go?
Well, let's start off with your triumphant little weekend.
Well, is it triumphant?
Well...
It's like, it was a bittersweet victory because there was a 2-0 win in the West London Derby.
The world's most important.
The most important one. Next to the other one that used to take place with QPR, which Chelsea was actually terrible in.
Yeah, they really were. But the West London Derby, has to be the most important derby in all of London, hands down.
Most important one that, in all of England, I think, that took place over the weekend.
Yeah, last I checked, there were no bigger ones. I don't
remember any other. Anyways, the big story, obviously, wasn't what happened on the pitch, although I was happy to see that John Obi Mikel finally got his first Premier League goal.
That was incredible.
He's been with the team since, what, in 2006?
Yeah, I thought, somewhere between 2006 and 50 years ago. He's been with them forever. And
I saw someone tweet it out, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I've seen him score a goal.
He had
back? No. Not the Premier League.
Nope. So, John Obi Mikel, congratulations to you. I think you're right. The bigger news was probably off the pitch, though.
It was right off the pitch in the seats.
Well, in the stands.
In the stands.
Not even on the bench.
No. In street clothes, I guess they call it.
Street clothes.
David Luiz and Juan Mata.
Yeah. So Mata has obviously been kind of a mainstay in that area for Chelsea lately, right?
Yeah, I mean, he appears to be completely out of favor with Mourinho. I mean, completely out of favor.
And Mourinho kind of hinted, what was it, before the weekend, that he prefers Oscar, as his number 10. He's kind of the 10 of the future. And Oscar is kind of one of those more high-tempo players.
And to his credit, Oscar scored that opening goal. I mean, they haven't had much offense. He's been most of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like he's not justified in saying these things and having faith in him.
You know what I think has Oscar played so great this year?
What's that?
It was that picture he took with me in Indy. When I put my arm around his shoulders, I said, hey, how about a photo real quick?
Go get him, boy.
And he just kind of just nodded because he doesn't speak any English.
Yeah. Jose.
The Portuguese translator had already walked off, so I was kind of just twisting in the wind there.
Was that breaking protocol as a reporter?
Oh, completely. But you know what? Some of the people that were running the media department completely douched up the whole situation.
So
it was a complete cock-up as far as the mix zones are supposed to work.
Right.
So I just said, screw it.
Yeah. I'm following my own rules tonight. Rebel.
This is what you get.
Jeremy Lance is a rebel.
I'm taking photos with players. That's what you get.
You can't put on a professional show. I'll show you how unprofessional it can get in here.
Yeah, if we want to get unprofessional, take a look at this.
Cheese.
He gladly did it.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Is it on Twitter or Instagram?
It's on Facebook. I think it's on Twitter. I'll put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll put it back on Twitter.
Awesome.
Make a reappearance.
I look forward to it. I'll retweet
the reissue.
Yeah, look forward to it, kids.
Oscar has been the offense. So it's not like Mourinho is coming from nowhere with this, this is my guy.
Right.
But at the same time, the fact that there isn't a place for Mata, and I saw this, I as a Chelsea fan, I saw this coming, over the summer when all these midfielders were being brought in. I'm like, we have so many midfielders at this point.
Well, someone was always going to get the short end of the stick.
I did not see it being Mata.
No, some of us would have expected someone like Schürrle, who just came in.
I didn't think he was going to be getting the minutes he's been getting.
And he's been getting loads of minutes. And De Bruyne has obviously been getting loads of minutes as well.
Yeah, he's been getting a decent amount of minutes.
So you see these guys come in, and, maybe we would have expected.
Dutch Justin Bieber, though, Van Ginkel, he's not been getting many minutes.
No, he really hasn't.
And then he got hurt today.
Well.
In the almighty Capital One Cup.
Capital One Cup, the world's most important
it's important when Fernando Torres scores.
Or even starts.
Yeah, it's true.
But, the bigger news might have been, Mata, we've been dealing with him for a while now, but the bigger news, I think, is Luiz wasn't even on the bench.
And, here's the thing. Remember the rumors that swirled around the initial Wayne Rooney bid?
Yeah.
It was 10 mil plus Luiz or Mata. That was the rumor. Now, Chelsea quickly came out and said there was no money, there was no player attached. It was straight just money, and it obviously wasn't 10 million. It was a bigger number. But so early on in the rumor mill, before they even took the pitch, those kind of were the two players isolated.
Yeah.
Are they a part of this?
I've read some other stuff as well about why those two players may be some of the players that Mourinho's kind of turning his back to. And, you can talk about Torres, and he's definitely someone that a couple coaches have had the option of turning their back on. Mm-hmm. No one's really gone with him, but lump him in there as well. These are all players that actually were kind of behind Rafa Benitez.
And, I saw that coming out. You look at some of obviously the Spanish players and some of the other guys. David Luiz is a mascot for whoever. He's just he's just like a happy poodle.
Hey, guys, let's just play some football.
And he's just bouncing around. And I guess he was probably in that mix. I think he's a fan of anybody.
Yeah.
So he probably got lumped into that group.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mata, Torres, Rafa was the Torres whisperer. He was going to right the ship with Torres.
Right, and they have this prior history together as well. Mourinho is definitely the type of manager that would hold a grudge against someone for
hold on.
really, really long time.
Let's ease up on that. Let's not be just making wild accusations here.
Hey, maybe that could explain it as well. The other side of it is too. Mourinho said outright that he doesn't really like the way this team's playing right now, and he's trying to.
I'm with him on that one.
Yeah, and we
agree on that.
Not many people would disagree with that. So Mourinho has different designs on how he wants this team to play, and Mata may just be the odd man out. Maybe his style of play doesn't quite fit the style of football moving forward.
He has mentioned that he's wanting Mata to be a whole player,
right?
Which we talked about in the past. I mean, defensively, he's not exactly the guy.
Yeah. He isn't exactly the one who's going to track back for you.
But, I look at David Luiz as kind of a guy that I figured would kind of fit in that Mourinho style.
Yeah.
The big physical guy. He plays both sides of the ball.
Right.
I think if he had his pick, he'd actually probably be a midfielder. And he actually last year played midfield quite a bit there towards the end.
Yeah,
when Rafa was making the calls, so maybe there it is.
I don't know that Luiz kind of fits that mold, and maybe we haven't completely seen the full story on why Luiz is being left out. Right
he
now,
is a space cadet.
Yeah, but Mourinho did kind of go out of his way to make it known they're both fit, but I chose not to play them or even dress them.
So then, what do you think it is for Luiz at least?
Maybe.
You don't think he fits into his...
No, I don't necessarily think that's it at all. I think Luiz is adaptable enough of a player that he could play in any team.
Is he not conservative enough as a defensive player?
That might be part of it. I mean, John Terry is definitely an old Mourinho guy. And
old school
English
defender.
And to Terry's credit, he's not looked bad this year.
No, John Terry, you're always waiting for him to kind of start to turn towards, that latter part of the career where things just aren't working for him. There was definitely some moments last year where he just got straight up burned by somebody.
Right.
He just tied up his own feet.
Right. Well, and the fur around him is kind of settled finally. No one's really scrutinizing his personal life the way they probably still should be.
Should be. His dad was just arrested or convicted of being a racist.
Yeah. So the Terry family has strong blood in it.
Bit of a history.
Yeah. But Terry's come in and kind of supplanted Luiz, which no one expected this year. Everyone expected Cahill and Luiz to kind of be the starting backs. But you're right. It could be that he's a little lax defensively and likes to not play as rigid as a system.
No, he tries to play up too far sometimes and completely forgets, oh, wait, no, I got to be one of these four guys back here.
The other side of it is maybe Mourinho's just making a temporary example of them or all of them. Who knows what Mourinho's long-term plans is because he's not even saying anything about it right now. He's just kind of talking and making it known that, these are my decisions and they're my decisions alone, and that's about the end of it. So there's still a lot to be told with this Chelsea side.
And then he threw out this past week that on top of all this, he's not happy with the way the team's playing. He's not happy with this guy and this guy. He doesn't want to play this dude. And then he threw out, January we're probably not going to do anything.
Right.
What? That's the most bipolar action there. Well, I don't like this team. I'm not going to change it with getting new players.
It's not like Mourinho would lie to us.
No, he's never done that.
No.
These wild accusations of yours.
I know. He would never do these things. So,
all right.
Let's see what happens with it.
Should we hit the other, I would say, less significant derby?
Yeah. Real quick, before we get away from Fulham. They did have some good news.
How about those guys?
Yeah. They did have some good news. Aside from
Martin Yole's getting the stomach staple or what?
No, that's not it. I love Martin Yole. He's a good old Spurs guy.
He might be looking for a job here soon.
Yeah, he could end up being unemployed, in the near future. But there was some good news for Fulham Football Club of late. Do you know what that is?
No.
The Michael Jackson statue.
Yeah.
Outside of Craven Cottage.
Sure.
Is finally coming down.
I thought you said good news.
Yeah.
No, I thought you said good news.
Wait, did you like the Michael Jackson statue?
It was insane. That's why I liked it.
Oh.
It made no sense.
Welcome to Fulham Football Club.
Stupid.
Here's a pedophile.
Yeah. And it was a full color statue, which I always find weird.
It was bedazzled. It was very sparkly. I think it had some gems all over it. Yeah.
Breaking his promise.
Yeah.
I believe he said he was gonna.
He said he was gonna leave it up. Ha ha.
Suck it.
Yeah,
It's
suck
going
it.
down.
We're taking down that Michael Jackson statue and making this a proper football club again.
Are they going to have like a big ceremony, like blow it up? Or
I don't know.
going to have it topple over like the
maybe
Saddam
he has to
statue?
give it back to Al Fayed. Oh,
Is someone going to beat it with a shoe after he gets knocked over?
maybe. I think the funniest thing that anything could happen with this Michael Jackson statue is someone from Fulham Football Club should take the statue and put it on Dodi Al Fayed's front porch, ring the doorbell, and then run away. Just leave the Michael Jackson statue right there.
Just put the head in his bed like in The Godfather.
Yeah, that would be great as well. So good news for Fulham, maybe bad news, depending on if you like craziness.
If you're a fan of weird, bad news.
Yeah. So let's talk about that other derby. The one that isn't quite as big.
Man City 4, Manchester United 1.
Boom.
At a very late and who gives a crap 1 it was.
Yeah, I mean, that...
Beautiful free kick there,
I mean, let's not ignore that point.
He is all about the free kicks lately.
Yeah, it was a beautiful free kick. I mean, you can't really hit it much better than that. Rooney actually had a decent game overall. Probably one of the only players for United that played that well.
Definitely not that back line.
No, that back line is leaky.
So Chris Smalling, possibly the worst performance of his life.
Well,
it was not good.
He has been a type of player that just wavered up and down for United.
He was so swimming upstream.
Well,
he could not tread water.
United as a whole looked really timid. Like reserved in their attack. Didn't seem to have a lot of confidence going forward. Rooney was the only one that was stirring much of anything up. Ashley Young continues to be garbage.
Mm-hmm. RVP didn't play. He's got a issue.
An injury?
Yeah.
Of sorts. And obviously United have missed him when he has been away. And while Rooney stepped up to the plate, they really just didn't seem to have kind of any wit to their attack.
No.
Conversely, City looked...
Where did this come from?
I don't know, but they looked great. I mean, Pellegrini has gotten all these guys to kind of gel together for this big, important match. And it was funny, they kind of sell this game as the biggest match in England. And it's not probably the biggest match in England. It's probably the biggest match for Manchester City. United would probably still prefer the Liverpool match.
It's probably the biggest match for TV rights.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way they sell it these days. Yeah. But as far as rivalries go, it's not necessarily the deepest one in England or the biggest one in England. City look at it that way. It's the same way that, Arsenal and Spurs look at one another. They think it's their most important matches, and it is in that kind of sense. But United don't have that same, fervor for this match. It's bragging rights in town, but they'd much rather beat Liverpool or they'd much rather beat Arsenal. So it's a huge match, people. Let's not get that wrong. And they are probably the two best teams in England, over the last few years.
Sure.
But it's not that big of a match. I see a lot of people sell it off as the biggest match in the world.
Well, I mean, currently, your last 3 titles.
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
Right out of there.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're talking about biggest matches in the world, which a lot of people are starting to compare this one to.
Oh, in the world?
In the world, yeah.
No.
But it's in the shadow of things like, El Clasico in Spain between Barcelona and Real Madrid.
I don't think for the EPL there are matches like that, just on the sheer fact that unlike, you mentioned La Liga there with Real Madrid and Barcelona, you look at, the big matchups with Dortmund and Bayern Munich. You're talking about leagues that are 2-team leagues.
Right.
So it's a big deal when they play.
Yeah.
Where the EPL is really not a 2-team league.
Right.
So there isn't just those 2 clear 1-2s that are going to go after it every year.
The yin and the yang.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Not in the EPL.
Huh. Well, enlightening, sir.
That was my theory.
Yeah.
By the way, David Moyes, hot seat?
Yes.
Uh-oh, panic time.
I love seeing this because Man United forever had touted themselves as a club that showed their manager patience. And they had one of the greatest managers of all time for the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. So suddenly they don't have one of the greatest managers of all time for the last 25 years. And predictably, they're not showing him much patience.
Yeah, he took his Rudolph nose and went home. So
yeah,
they're left with Moyes.
Yeah. He's Scottish, so he's kind of like him.
Kind of resembles the Geico Gecko.
That you would not want to get yelled at by either one of them in a locker room at halftime. I think that'd be terrifying.
Pretty horrible.
Yeah. But aside from that, they have a similar style, but Moyes doesn't have that pedigree where he's just bringing that confidence that exudes it the way that Sir Alex has. So there is a little bit of pressure on him. I think United are going to give him time. I legitimately think the club have their wits about them and understand that they're not going to.
I think United's going to give them time.
Yeah.
I don't know if the United fan base is going to give him time.
Yeah, they won't. They won't. There are already segments of it that's turning against
time's him. Run out for a few people already.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, people. But
you got to think this is a club, this is a fan base that the average 20-something knows nothing but winning.
Right.
So that's what they expect.
Exactly.
And when anything short of that happens, they lose their crap.
Mayhem.
So when they don't see dominance, when they don't see clear shoo-ins for titles,
yep.
The second they get any just a whiff of that, panic mode.
It is panic mode. Well,
it's a fun watch, though.
It is a fun watch.
As someone who has had to sit there and watch the United fans, beat their chest for however long.
Too long.
It's fun to see them squirm.
It is fun to see them squirm.
Is that wrong to feel that way?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Let's talk about the former top of the table, Liverpool.
Okay.
Going down at home to Southampton, 0-1.
Did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of looked a little on Monday.
And they really looked even at home. They hadn't conceded a goal yet at home this year prior to this match. They only gave up one. Simon Mignolet, if it hadn't been for him, they would have given up a lot more than they did. He had a spectacular game. I mean,
best signing they made.
Yeah, it really is the best signing they made so far. The other thing that's really notable about this match has to be the fact that Coutinho's absence was severely felt by Liverpool. Now, that may be mitigated with the return of Luis Suarez.
Well, that was the thing. Like, all of a sudden, instantly, everyone was like, hey, yeah, Sturridge is doing great for us. And then it was instantly like, wow, we need Suarez back so bad. Please come back, Suarez.
Right.
Hurry up with that suspension.
So it's the way you look at it is while Mignolet was probably their best player, over the weekend, the absence of Coutinho is huge for them. And everyone's kind of pinning their hopes on Suarez coming back.
It's a man of the match. Suarez is ghost.
Yeah. And then he comes, and everyone's expecting it to be perfect. Like he hasn't been out for 8 games, and he didn't try to weasel his way out of the club a little bit this summer.
And that he didn't bite somebody.
Yeah, and he didn't bite someone.
Another human being.
Yeah, another human being. By the way, kids, it's still not okay to bite people, no matter what kind of advantage it gains you in the match.
Even if he's a Serbian guy.
Right.
Still not cool.
Yeah. I get why you would want to be biting a Serbian guy.
It looks fun.
Yeah, anything you can to keep him away from you.
I was at a press conference with Novak Djokovic. I thought, I'm going to bite this guy.
Yeah.
I really want to bite him.
Well, you better do it before he bites you first.
That's true.
So
I'll bite you first.
Keep that in mind. But it is, kind of surprising to see this team that's been playing fairly well this season go down at home.
How about West Ham 2, Everton 3? Everton's still unbeaten.
Yeah. The Everton match obviously came down to 2 fantastic free kicks from Leighton Baines. He is got to be probably one of the best free kick takers in all of the Premier League now that Bale's gone, right? If not the best.
Yeah. I don't know. Rooney's trying to make a run at it now.
Yeah, he is making a run at it now. And Lukaku, obviously getting, the 3rd goal there.
Lukaku with now more Premier League goals than all 3 Chelsea strikers combined.
Yeah. Good thing they loaned him out, right?
That was a good move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Solid decision.
He also got knocked out cold in the process of scoring that goal.
Remember.
He didn't even remember.
Know he scored.
Could you imagine coming to and being like, hey, by the way, kid, you knocked that one in. You're like, wait, what did I knock in? You'd have no clue.
That happened in the NFL game last night.
Oh, yeah?
Terrell Pryor got knocked out cold. And he tweeted out today, hey, I don't really remember what happened there.
Well,
good hit to whoever that was.
Always a fun game that I can't remember. Just tell me that I played great.
When you just get completely knocked out.
Yeah. Well, we're having a fun night here. Let's get on to the next match in the lineup.
Would that be Newcastle?
Yeah, let's talk about Newcastle.
I was just throwing that out as a joke. Newcastle 2, Hull City 3. Hull City, they're now 11th. They are top of the newbies. I didn't see this coming because they started out hot garbage.
It all comes down to the name change. Now that they're
Boy, I
just
hope that's not the reason.
the Hall City Tigers. The Hall City Tigers.
Mentioned it earlier about Martin Yole. Party's got to be.
Well, I don't know. He's got that humongous contract. You know, they gave him a 10-year deal, which was absurd.
What, how many years ago was that?
That was 2 years ago. So
Okay,
when they almost made the Champions League, you know, they faded at the end of the year and ended up finishing like 5th or 6th or something like that. And they gave Pardew this huge contract.
But this team is terrible.
They are terrible. Now,
I mean, outside of Remy just kind of doing some lone wolf action there on some goals. This was a completely putrid effort.
It really was. And I don't think you can blame it all on Pardew. I mean, I think obviously he needs to shoulder some of the blame.
That's what you do, though.
Yeah.
You're not going to fire the players.
No. As much as we would like to sometimes.
The front office isn't going to fire themselves.
Nope. Joe Kinnear will be busy, taking...
So you got one option.
Yeah. Taking credit for everything, and certainly Mike Ashley isn't going to, blame himself for any of this. So, Pardew is on the hot seat for sure. The funniest part of this game, though, hands down, had to have been Steve Bruce dancing on the sideline after a fantastic Hall City goal.
Did he have moves like Jagger? I
Yeah.
didn't get to see it.
I don't know. It was impressive. So Google that. It's worth the watch.
I'm going to have to go check that out.
Yeah. Some other matches that went on. Oh, my Spurs.
How about that?
They got another win.
Another ho-hum 1-0 win for the Spurs.
Who cares? Because we haven't conceded a goal aside from the Arsenal match. But they are playing really well. We're second in the table behind the Arsenal, who also had an impressive win at the weekend. Spurs, though, real quickly, let's go back to them.
Okay.
They did have 29 shots this match. So we are not lacking in the creative department, and I will credit that fully to the arrival of Christian Eriksen, who I am now in love with.
You've been mentioning him on every podcast.
I really have been.
It's not like a product where they're just going to start sending us free. They're not going to send us.
Yeah.
He's a person.
He is a person.
You can't send a person.
I'm not expecting any sponsor to send us a Christian Eriksen. It'd be fun to get him on my Sunday League team. No offense to the guys.
You wouldn't have to go full 90.
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's not a left back, so I'd probably still have to.
I feel like you wouldn't need as much effort.
Yeah,
on the
true.
back if you got him.
That's probably
controlling
true.
The ball.
So it's not going to happen. Let's not talk about it anymore. But I am in love with him. He's playing really well for us. He's creating a shitload of chances, which is a blast to watch. It'd be great if we could finish off a few more of these things. It's starting to drive me a little crazy, but again, we get another shutout. Real quickly, we'll touch on them. They had another shutout today in the Capital One Cup.
We'll have to go back to that.
Yeah, we will go back to that. There was a moment in that we'll analyze. We'll analyze that. But Spurs playing well still. I feel like we have skipped over some other matches that happened this weekend.
Let's go to Arsenal real quick.
Yeah, let's talk about them.
Arsenal 3, Stoke City 1. Do have to mention we have an American on the score sheet.
Jeff Cameron.
Didn't think that was going to be the one I was right in as first American to score in the EPL this year.
No. I don't think any one of us.
Josie.
Yeah, Josie you would have expected, and granted, he probably should have had one against Arsenal.
I almost might count that.
Yeah. But Jeff Cameron with a great finish with his left boot.
Not as a great finish. He was like the only guy in Stoke that was like just balls out the whole time he was out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he played a great match.
He really did play a great match. But the rest of his team, not so much.
No, the rest of the team definitely played like they were Stoke City.
Yeah. The amazing stat of this match was that Arsenal had all three of their goals off of set pieces against Stoke.
Ozil, 2 assists.
Ozil, 2 assists. So, again, everyone's praising him as, the second coming, which he may be.
Second coming of assists?
Yeah, the second coming of assists.
He's the John Stockton of the EPL?
He might be at the moment.
So Aaron Ramsey scored a goal. Has anybody died yet?
Well, I mean, we have had some shootings.
There's been some stuff, yeah.
I'm willing to blame.
I'm talking like famous people?
I don't know about any famous people.
Abe Vigoda, has anyone checked in on him this week?
I don't think so.
All right.
Someone check his pulse.
You might want to place a phone call.
Either way, Aaron Ramsey scored a goal. I'm, ducking down anytime I hear loud noises thinking I'm going to get shot. But they did get all 3 of their goals from set pieces, which was kind of amazing, especially against a team like Stoke, who are kind of known for their aerial presence. So Stoke,
Stoke was Stoke.
They were Stoke.
Completely just blah.
Yeah.
No offense, really. I mean, they had that one burst there where Jeff Cameron had to come in and finish things off.
Right.
That was about it. And he was the one that kind of drove the ball down.
All the way down from right back. So good for Jeff Cameron, but not so good for his squad. Let's see. Other matches. Crystal Palace 0, Swansea 2. Michu with finally getting on the score sheet this season. Surprised.
Hey, how about that?
Surprised to see him take that long.
Crystal Palace digging themselves an early hole.
Yeah.
Probably not good.
No.
Other matches. I do want to mention this one before we get to, obviously, the Sunderland trash fire.
Right.
Real quickly, Norwich City 0, Aston Villa 1. Brad Guzan is playing so well.
Another penalty save for him.
Oh, yeah.
So he saved Robert Snodgrass's early penalty in the match.
It was Snodgrass, to be fair.
And it wasn't a great penalty. But who cares, because he stopped it. And then his team goes on after Benteke went down injured, no less.
That could be a problem going forward.
And his sub, Kozak, comes on and scores the game winner for him. So, I mean, another, like you were saying, another assured performance from Guzan, who really has to be pushing for that starting U.S. men's national team spot. We keep saying this over and over.
I was thinking about this today. I was watching ESPN FC, and they were kind of debating that. Maybe it was yesterday. I watch them on DVR. Taylor Twellman and some of the guys were talking about, has he done enough to earn this spot? And Twellman, first of all, pointed out, like, hey, it's only September. Let's pump the brakes here a little bit. But, it's almost like what we were talking about with the Columbus-Seattle thing. Has Seattle earned the right to host a big match? Yeah, maybe. But Columbus hasn't lost that right yet.
Right. And it's not like Howard has really done much in U.S. men national team colors, at least, to have the spot taken away from him.
Yeah, exactly.
But based on current form, and if we're going to just talk about current form, which Klinsmann does hit on a lot when he talks about the teams that he selects,
sure,
Guzan is definitely in better form right now. I mean,
right now.
He single-handedly kept Aston Villa up. Well, he and Benteke kept Aston Villa up last season. He played spectacular in the lead up to that, and he has to at least be in the discussion.
Well, here's the thing. They still have a few more qualifiers coming up here in about, 3 weeks or so?
Do you think Klinsmann will give him the opportunity to play?
You just said it about form. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, based on current form, which 3 weeks from now you'd want to base it on current form, it's absolutely going to be. Guzan has the better form, unless something drastic changes.
Well, let's see how the next 3 matches go. And
I mean, it is Villa. They could still crap the bed quite easily.
Yeah, it's true.
They can still get pantsed. Wait, that did happen today.
Yeah, that did happen today. So
we'll
get to that. We'll get to
that.
Real
quickly. West Brom 3, Sunderland 0. Not the story. The story is what happened after the match.
So immediately after the match.
Yeah.
Di Canio, of course, Sunderland are playing away from home.
Well,
they've lost yet again.
Walks over to the visitors' end.
And you'd think, he just goes over there to clap them.
Yeah. Thank him for coming out. Sorry you had to watch.
But instead,
what that was.
But instead, he does something completely different.
But really, do you expect anything else than something completely different?
Well, it's Di Canio.
Exactly.
So
you didn't expect him to go over there. Like, I honestly, with it being Di Canio, I would expect him to go over there and just open his wallet and just hand everybody like a £1 note.
Yeah.
Like, say sorry about that.
Take this and buy something
with
it. Yeah. this will help you buy
bit of a refund.
A bit of the pint that's going to console you.
Yeah.
And he did go over and say to the fans, don't blame the players. Don't blame the players.
And then he did the famous chin up.
Then the chin up to you guys, because you deserve it for all the hard work you've done out and coming out and supporting us. He then proceeds yesterday to have a emergency meeting with the squad because they're playing so terribly, and proceeded to blame all of those same players he just told the fans.
Which they then, at that point, had a training ground revolt, right?
They did. He did have the famous words, reportedly, saying, if you're so displeased with my management, why don't you go up and tell the directors to fire me?
So they did?
Which apparently they did. Now, I don't think anyone will be surprised to learn that Lee Cattermole was the one who kind of led that revolt. He's a dick. So it's kind of an expected thing. So he actually did.
It was like
he went
the
right
opposite of that scene from Rudy when all the players put the jerseys on the coach's desk. Like, hey, we want Rudy to play. He can have mine. It was the opposite. It was like, please fire this dude.
Fire this guy. Get rid of him. So DeCanio's out. They let him go today. Not really that surprising, based on how they've been playing. Everyone had kind of suspected he was going to be the first one to go.
Bottom of the league.
Real quickly on the match, I did like that it was a little poetic that Steven Sessegnon came back and scored a goal against his former squad and helped send them into further misery.
into a tailspin.
Yeah. While Josie Altidore still just can't find the back of the net. And it's not necessarily always his fault.
Did he come off the bench?
Yeah.
How many minutes did he even get? That's the other story out of that is like, DeCanio was already giving up on Josie.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say this much. He didn't know what he was doing back there. I mean, he needed to go. The squad needs a fresh look. The problem is they brought in, 14 new players.
Mm-hmm.
All with this Italian sporting director is apparently making all the signings as well.
Oh, that's good.
So whoever they bring in is going to need to
kind of be on the same page.
The same page for all these new players they brought in. It's going to be a really tough job to fill. Who do they turn to? You see names that are being linked to them.
Di Matteo.
Di Matteo is probably the easiest fit.
Makes sense. I mean, it's only a matter of time before he gets back in with somebody.
Yeah, and being Italian himself, you think that might be, a good fit for them.
Could work. So you're saying Harry Redknapp, don't call your office.
Yeah, I don't think Harry Redknapp's going to be the one to do that for him.
You can go ahead and turn that to silence.
You've seen Gus Poyet linked to the job as well.
Sure.
But it just doesn't seem like a job that he's up for either. I just think it's going to be a tough job for anyone to fill.
I mean, my heart of hearts, I just hope it's somebody crazy like Nigel Atkins because I just miss him already.
Oh, man.
He was so ridiculous with I need post-game poetry.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't get that from anyone else.
No. Well, we'll end up seeing, who they end up replacing him. Let's hope it's someone that gives Josie his chance because we need that guy playing.
So, 2 questions.
Okay.
First one, who is your pick? I am going with Di Matteo. Just because I love the guy and I hope he gets a chance.
I would love to be controversial, but I think that's probably the most logical pick out there for them. I mean, outside of going with someone like Mancini, who's above that.
Yeah.
You'd think he's above that. The Sunderland owners, Americans, by the way.
He would not like a black and red scarf.
No. Yeah.
That wouldn't look good on him.
He'd put it on, regrettably.
I don't know if they make scarves for Sunderland fans out of cashmere.
Probably not. That's too high class.
He's going to need that.
Yeah. Just wool for you, sir.
Second question.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't think there are really many options available for him that would fit better.
Now that the first shoe has dropped, who is the next manager that should be looking behind him?
Well, I mean, we've already talked about Martin Jol and the kind of crap job he's doing at Fulham at the moment, and they did make a lot of signings over the summer as well. Brought in a lot of fresh faces, people like Scott Parker, Ariel Tarabt. None of them have really panned out for them. So I think he's definitely on the hot seat as well. Pardew we talked about as well. I mean, I don't think Pardew's going to go quite yet. I think Ashley's kind of sold on the ideas that Pardew has, and I think they're going to give him a little bit more time. I think if I had to take a pick right now,
Jol.
Yeah, I think Jol's probably going to be the next one to go. He's going to follow Michael Jackson out the door.
That might be a dual ceremony.
Yeah.
That might be a dual press conference.
He's going to moonwalk his way out of there. How great would that be if he moonwalked out?
If he can do any kind of dance moves with the pot belly he's rocking, I'll be surprised.
That would be impressive.
Because all the other clubs I'm looking at that are kind of in a bad situation, they're either promoted sides or they're clubs that really shouldn't have had high expectations to begin with.
Right. And we talked at the beginning of the season about how Newcastle are one of those teams that could slip back into it. And
sure.
Here we are talking about them again. So on form, maybe that's probably the deserved firing, but I think you're right.
Before we move on to Champions League, We had a Twitter question last week.
Ooh, we almost missed it again.
Wow, we almost really screwed that one up.
Way to save that one.
Just pulled that one out of the fire there. Chris Landis tweeted us again last week, but we're idiots. And
Sorry.
didn't respond. Well, no, I responded to him on Twitter.
You did.
The two of us talked about it. You and I talked about it before the last podcast. The mics turned on, and we completely forgot about it.
Sorry about that, Chris. And we almost did it to you again. So we'll answer your question this week.
I think it's even more relevant this week. Out of the top 6 in the Premier League, I think he's meaning like the top, the big clubs.
Right.
Who do you think should be most worried?
That's a great question right now.
I mean, for me, it's easy.
Whoa.
It's Chelsea.
Yeah. Well,
and it's not even close.
That's your blue bleeding through there,
But should they not be worried? They're playing like crap. They have no offense. Their striker situation is a complete boondoggle. It's horrible.
You also have...
We have guys on the outs, and Mata and David Luiz, two guys I think are
world class.
And yet they're just chopped liver to Mourinho. I know a lot of people said that because they wanted it to happen, but I got a bad feeling that the second coming of Mourinho is going to be a bad scene.
I want to agree with you. But
really?
you look at that squad and you just say, it's really too good to be in this kind of position. And Mourinho's shaking things up right now.
I would say, hey, they're too good to be in this position. What's wrong?
Yeah. I think Mourinho, look, a lot of teams in the top 6, well, a lot of teams that would traditionally be in the top 6. The big clubs.
The Liverpools.
Are kind of going through a little traumatic experiences right now. Liverpool seem to be a bit on the rise. Arsenal and Spurs seem to be playing really well at the moment.
Top of the table.
Top of the table. You look at your Uniteds, you look at your Chelseas, you look at your Manchester Cities, the teams that have kind of been the top 3 pretty much for the last few years. And they've kind of been wishy-washy at the start of this season.
Well, and look, we're going into a season that is just very bizarre in the fact that the top 3 clubs from last year are starting with new managers.
Right.
You got, a team like Liverpool, their best player has to sit out the first part of the season.
Right.
Tottenham made a million moves.
Yeah.
Sell off the biggest player out there right now. And yet, as of this point, haven't missed a beat, really.
Right.
And then you have Arsenal, which started out with fans freaking out about not making moves, and they're not going to make moves, and stupid Arsenal never make moves.
They lose Aston Villa, chaos and mayhem, and now they're top of the table.
Top of the table, and they make, as far as the Premier League is concerned, the biggest acquisition.
Yeah.
At the deadline.
So we can rule out Arsenal right now, right?
They're doing fine. I agree with a lot of pundits that say that they're maybe a little thin as far as depth goes, but this early in the season, it's so far so good.
Right.
They're fine.
Now, I do think they're kind of ignoring some of their issues. They have a thin defense as far as first-team players go.
Well, I mean, and I remember my buddy Dave, who's a huge Arsenal supporter, that's what he wanted out of the transfer window.
Right.
Defender. That was his top goal.
Right. They still didn't pick up the defensive midfielder that they've desperately needed for the last few years. Now, when you have a player like Ozil and you have Ramsey, who's playing in the form of his life at the moment,
which that's one of those questions. Like, how long does that last?
Right.
How long does Giroud's hot streak this year last? Like, when those fail, what do you have?
Exactly.
When those guys come back down to earth.
I don't want to sell them short because they're playing really well at the moment, but I think they do have some stuff to be worried about. But they don't have near as much to worry about as, say, your team does.
Yeah, it's a hot mess over.
But I also want to put a strong point out there I think United have a lot to worry about right now. For the first time ever, and I was kind of talking about this a little bit earlier, they don't have Sir Alex to lean on.
Yeah.
And they did bring in this big signing, but is Moyes going to be able to keep everyone happy and ticking along the way that things have run at United for so long after bringing in one of his players? And he's lost the faith of some of the fans already. They're not in the best run of form.
And two matches in, Fellaini has not looked good at all.
No, he's really not. And he's going to need some time to bed in, just like any player is. But
and we talked about it before he made the move. He was not playing particularly well.
Yeah, that's true.
It might have been a bad buy.
Yeah.
He might have bought a lemon, and the dumb thing about it is he was the original owner.
Yeah.
He should have known the problems.
He should have.
He should have got a Carfax.
Well, he didn't.
He didn't.
Where's that little furry fox?
Nah, screwed up. So I'm going Chelsea. You're going Chelsea. Chelsea, you suck.
Yeah.
Get it together.
Get it together.
You're an embarrassment. All right, Champions League. More Chelsea embarrassment.
Well, let's just keep on beating the dead horse.
Someone had to poop the bed. Might as well be Chelsea.
At home.
That is at home against a Basel team that you dispatched fairly easily in the Europa League last year.
Right. I did tell you that they would provide a stern test when we did our Champions League preview.
A little more than a stern test.
Well, sorry. So you guys obviously dropped the ball there.
Chelsea haters and Roger Federer were rejoicing in the streets as Chelsea went down. That's his team, Basel. That's his team.
Good fun fact. Some of the other matches that went down, Napoli 2, Dortmund 1. So first, the headline story of this is obviously big win for Napoli and Rafa Benitez down there. I mean, they're playing really great football at the moment. They're second in the table right now in Italy. Wafa. He's the fat Spanish waiter, as I like to refer to him.
I love that. I love that chant. I would yell it at the TV last year.
Yeah.
And yet I still liked him.
I went through a streak for a while where that's the only way I addressed him, as if I actually addressed him in person.
Hello, Mr. Fatsman.
But the secondary headline in this has to be the terrifying image of Jurgen Klopp.
He had an aneurysm on the sideline.
Yeah. He looked like a terrifying monster.
If you're one of the 4 people that haven't seen the GIF or whatever they're called, or you haven't seen the
GIF, it's basically just a moving picture, folks.
It's because you're only looking about 2 seconds of just pure gold.
Yeah.
That you need.
Klopp
you don't need to go find a big video or anything.
Klopp just unloads on the 4th official, upset about the goal that just had happened.
His face turned into a triangle. It turned into the yellow Angry Bird.
Yes.
It was horrifying.
He really was. I mean, it's the stuff of nightmares. Like
his bottom jaw, I think, unhinged at one point.
And he almost swallowed the 4th official's head. So for all this screaming that he did get was it a 2-match ban? I think it was
1 or 2, yeah.
Yeah, it was a 2-match ban from UEFA competition. So he's been slapped on the wrist for it. He does have a history of having a bad temperament on the sidelines. So
he's an animated guy.
Yeah, while not completely unexpected, it was still
pretty crazy.
Really scary. So
if that was you,
go out and watch that.
Talk about Chelsea pooping the pants.
Yeah.
You just did.
Yeah.
That 4th official.
I pooped my pants. So I'm still
That was the highlight of the whole
round?
Champions League.
It probably was.
Week. Yeah.
So let's just real quickly touch on some other scores that were kind of note. United 4, Leverkusen 2. Kind of a big match for them. An important one. Good 3 points to get.
Moyes showing he can actually win a game.
Yeah. In Europe, no less.
In Europe.
Yeah.
Manchester Derby, another story, but...
Yeah, but he can still win in Europe, or prove that he can win in Europe. Another kind of beatdown that happened was Real Madrid 6, Galatasaray 1 at Galatasaray.
And hey, I am, by the way, tonight wearing my Besiktas jersey because they had a Sunday clash, literally, with Galatasaray in which it had to be abandoned because the fans invaded the pitch. And when I say the fans, I mean almost all of them.
Weren't they throwing chairs about too?
Yeah, plastic deck chairs.
Nice.
Which apparently were just abundant on field level. Not sure how that works.
It is always a good, fun hoedown, if you will, every time those two clubs get
that
down.
Plastic chair?
I don't know. Let's throw it.
Where did you get 10 more?
Yeah, let's throw all of them. So they got their brains beat in at home by Real Madrid. Ronaldo getting a hat trick. No Gareth Bale. He picked up an injury.
Yeah.
So he was scratched out of there. Speaking of teams that actually had wins, Manchester City finally winning a game in Europe.
Hey, how about that?
Way to go, guys. Welcome to the club. They beat Victoria Pleasant. I think I said that right.
That sounds good enough.
Yeah, it sounds good enough. They beat them 3-0.
I'm sure none of their fans will be listening.
No. I really doubt it, but you just never know. Thanks, World Wide Web. Anything else? Yeah, Munich.
3-0 over CSKA Moscow.
Comprehensive.
Yeah, they're not missing a beat there.
Yeah.
Just keep on trucking.
Arsenal won away 2-1 over Marseille.
Yeah. That match got a little dicey.
It did.
That's about it. I mean, Barcelona 4-0 over Ajax.
Yeah, predictable.
Celtic was looking good there for the first 70 minutes, and then the bottom fell out. They lose 2-0 to AC Milan.
Minnows.
That's about it. I mean, it was kind of a ho-hum first round there.
You would say that with how your team performed.
Yes, I would have taken ho-hum.
Yeah, that's true. We could spend some time talking about the Europa League. Spurs won.
Are
probably
they still doing that?
It's the only reason I even pay attention to it. It's 'cause Spurs are in it, so they won. Swansea won. I know they won 2-0 over Valencia.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah, so congratulations, Swansea.
That's good to see.
Maiden voyage in Europe, getting a win. So.
What about Wigan? How'd they do?
Wigan lost.
Oh, that's shocking.
Yeah, really shocking that the second division team from England lost in their European away match. So. Sorry, Wigan. You're probably going to get your brains beat into that competition.
I feel bad for Owen Coyle. He was so nice to us.
He was a nice guy to us.
Just a gentle soul.
He was. Grant
Holt was a great guy to hang out with.
It's not that we don't have love for Wigan.
There is a special place in my heart for them.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that their CEO has to do all their Twittering because apparently they can't hire someone to do that.
You can't think that that's what he's doing in England. They probably have an intern.
He probably has someone
right?
else. But on the traveling, he was like, "Yeah, we got to get a skeleton crew for the travel over here." I was like, because at first I was just like, "This is some like media just schlep."
Yeah.
Just doing the Twitter.
Do you think someone had to teach him how to Twitter?
Oh no, the actual media relations guy was actively kind of like giving him pointers on how to work the Twitter.
Awesome.
The Twitter, and then they had some kind of like scoreboard thing that they were trying to run as well.
Nice. So
he was stinking at both.
Well, they stink it up in Europe as well. So sorry. That's all we have on the Europa League.
How about something almost as good as the Europa League? Capital One Cup.
I have this written down. This is the only note that I have written down on the Capital One Cup. Carling Cup. All I wrote down was Carling Cup. Now, the other funny thing, if we're going to sit here and laugh about the Carling Cup, had to have been, we've alluded to this a couple times already today.
It's the story of the day.
This will be on
SportsCenter.
It will be, absolutely.
They won't tell you what happened in the game, but they'll play that highlight.
Absolutely.
Over.
So it was my Spurs. They took on Aston Villa. A rather second-string side from Spurs, but that's really, again, not the story. The story is...
Did I see Brad Friedel out there?
Brad Friedel was out there. Quick off his line, Brad Friedel was today, too. I think AVB was telling him, hey, we're playing a really high line this year, and you got to get off that thing. So
I thought I was afraid he had some kind of obligations at the Fox broadcast.
Probably does, he
hanging out with Wijnaldum and
did his setup at halftime or something. But really, the story of it has to be Jan Vertonghen pulling down the pants of an opposing forward on a breakaway.
Some people were like,
in the box.
Should that be a red card?
So
he's kind of impeding a shot on goal.
We kind of talked about this before we started recording. I don't think he intended to do it. In fact, I don't even think he meant to really touch the guy at all. I think it was just kind of, he was flailing as he was falling, and his hand caught the guy's shorts.
As one does when they fall.
Yeah. And completely pantsed the Aston Villa striker, and his name's escaping me at the moment. But
so are his pants.
Yeah, his pants were escaping as well. And he proceeds to take the shot still in his tighty whities with his pants around the knees.
For pants around the knees in your tighty whities, half decent shot.
Right. So I get where the calls are coming from for, a penalty. I understand that. I don't think it was one. Plus, they let him play advantage, if anything else. I mean, they let him play on, and he got off a decent shot. But it was awesome. My wife laughed so hard when we watched this. Like, literally, she's probably still laughing at home right now.
That is Capital One Cup.
Capital One Cup in a nutshell. So I was tweeting this out, though. Does anyone care about this until like their team's in the semifinals?
I think it works like this. You don't. It's kind of like college football teams, the big teams that go and play some crappy, double directional school, like the first 2 weeks.
Right.
You're expected to, for the big clubs, you are expected to win. So it's not about winning; it's about not losing.
True.
You don't want to be one of the first Premier League sides to go out.
Right. It's a chance for squad rotation. Keep your squad happy.
Oh, yeah.
Chelsea clearly need that right now, given how they're not starting some of their players.
They got that nice 2-0 victory.
That's true.
Against Swindon.
Yeah. Wasn't Torres on the score sheet?
Yeah. Yeah, he opened her up.
World class, 50 million pound player.
World class. He basically was a redirect off a Mata's shot. Yeah, that's right. Juan Mata allowed to play in a game. Redirect as it was trickling about 2 feet from the goal. A little tap in by old Torres. He celebrated it by putting up the L sign. Like loser. I didn't quite understand that one.
If he put it to his head, I probably would have died.
I think he pointed at himself.
Yeah, I'm this.
And then he actually did set up Ramirez on the second goal.
Yeah.
Nice little through ball.
Well, way to go.
Torres.
He's effective against lower league
Swindon.
competition. Did anything else of note happen in this?
No, I was kind of trying to keep a watch to see if we did have any Premier League sides fall to non-Premier League sides. That eventually happens.
Right.
Norwich almost did it.
It's that exciting.
It's on beIN Sport. I think that's all you need. It's on beIN Sport. A guy got pantsed, and for a while there, I thought Brad Friedel was Michael Chiklis. He was looking so large. That's the Capital One Cup, folks.
There we go. Top-tier competition, that.
And Torres is world class.
Let's talk about a little MLS real fast.
Okay. We had a bit of an announcement today.
There was a little announcement. So Brian Ching, the former U.S. men's national team player, is going to be retiring at the end of this season after a star-studded career with the Houston Dynamo.
And now that's a big story, but the other development from it, I think, is kind of the cooler story.
They're actually going to throw him a testimonial match.
Which is, we've been trying to figure this out. You've even been in contact with the Houston Dynamo and some other people within the league.
Right.
Is this the first time that the MLS or an MLS club has done this?
As far as I'm aware, and as far as the Houston Dynamo are aware, it is the very first testimonial match in MLS history, which I think is kind of a cool thing. It's surprising when you initially think about it. You think like, well, this league's been around for almost 20 years now. You'd think they'd have a testimonial match or two.
You could make the argument that they gave Beckham a testimonial right as he came to the club by his first match being that friendly against Chelsea.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That's the closest thing I can think of, honestly. And that's clearly not a testimonial.
But, the thing is, and this was pointed out to me by Clint Irwin, who is the starting goalkeeper for the Colorado Rapids. Clint pointed out to me that based on kind of the single entity league structure that MLS has, it's really kind of rare that you see players stay at a club for any extended period of time. And it's pretty few and far between that you even see them there for much longer than 4 years.
Sure.
So when we were tossing around names, you tossed out someone.
Balboa.
A long-term player also for the Rapids.
His bobblehead watches over my 2-year-old son every night.
That's a little creepy as well.
Well, you call it creepy. I call it protection.
Huh.
Him and Joey Votto watch over my son.
That's quite the tag team right there.
It is. It's a pretty good crew. And a Doctor Who figurine. So there's that as well.
Okay. Well, now I'm officially creeped out. So, but I mean, another name that I threw out, Ben Olsen at DC United. I feel like he's probably been around that club long enough to have probably warranted something along those lines.
Yeah.
But Ching is probably the only kind of modern day equivalent that you can think of off the top of your head that's kind of been with the club that long.
One?
I don't think Twellman got one in New England. Maybe Donovan. You'd expect he'll probably get one if he finishes out his career
he would.
with LA. But either way, it is pretty cool that they're honoring Ching in this way. This is something that's really frequent.
Dempsey's getting one next week.
Yeah, he probably will. The league will throw one for him. They'll actually pay for it, too. But no, I do think it's cool. It's something that's really frequently seen in Europe. Just kind of honoring a former player for all the service they've given to the team. It originally got its start. I don't know if you knew about this.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about the testimonials because they're not shown over here in the U.S.
Right.
They never really broadcast the ones from England and around Europe. Why don't you kind of break that down? What is a testimonial?
Yeah, so a testimonial, I said a little bit about this, but it's basically to honor a former player of a team. You know, they're either at the twilight of their career or they retired, a couple years before. But either way, they bring back this player and they play a match and they bring in all sorts of kind of celebrity players.
Yeah, a lot of guys, some of the guys they played with or played against that were bigger names.
Sometimes they'll bring in, friends that they know from their national teams, other big names that they kind of met in their travels around the world playing football. So
occasionally you'll even have like a celebrity who's good enough to kind of get out there.
Yeah, what was it? There was a testimonial, I think it was Steve Harper's testimonial at Newcastle a couple weeks ago. And one of the kids from, One Direction was playing.
And he got rolled up.
And he got crushed by this guy. And this guy gets a bunch of death threats. Yeah. So anyway, that's not a normal part of your testimonial experience. But
no, generally not. I saw a charity match where Gordon Ramsay got rolled up pretty good, too.
Yeah, I did see that one.
Literally needed medical attention.
Exactly. He was, taken off on a stretcher. Yeah. Normally, they're just festive affairs. And they're kind of a fun thing to go and watch. And now they usually give the money away to charity, but they originally got their start, and where I started off this story, 5 minutes ago, was it used to be that players actually didn't make that much playing soccer.
Sure.
You were making kind of bad wages to, put food on the table for your family.
Was, in a way, kind of a retirement fund?
And this was kind of a retirement fund for a lot of players. The club would send off a famous player one last time, and they'd split the gate with him, or they'd give him most of the gate.
See, now this is something I never knew that part.
Yeah, so expanding your soccer knowledge out there, kids.
Because again, you hear about them if you kind of follow some of the international news. You hear about them. Obviously, if a celebrity gets blown up, one of them, you see the video on that one. But then that's it. I mean, we don't have anything like that here.
Yeah. So Houston is breaking that mold, though, and they're throwing one for Ching,
Very cool.
Which is really cool. They've already gotten some big names out for it, a lot of former players. I know crew favorite Frankie Hayduck's going to be down there. Jimmy Conrad will be down there. Landon Donovan says he's going to show up.
Not crew favorite. America's
favorite, Frankie Hayduck. I don't want to get that wrong. He is the official or unofficial mascot of Columbus, though. So stay tuned for that. I think it'll be towards the end of the season. Definitely cool.
Cool.
Also want to make note, we always like to talk about the Crew since they're the local team to us.
What is this crap?
Yeah,
where did this come from?
They might actually be in the playoff hunt still. Now, I think it's probably likely that they're not going to make the playoffs. And again, just like I said on last week's pod, if they manage to squeeze in, they're going to get knocked out pretty quickly.
But it wasn't just a win. It was a win with product placement.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
It was a great goal celebration from Oduro.
It's possibly sponsored by his sponsor, Papa John's. He does the commercials for Papa John's.
And I believe they're
also... And then he grabbed a Papa John's pizza.
Yeah, he did. He ran over to the opposite sideline.
What appeared to be a Crew employee.
Yeah, so he...
This is staged, folks.
This is staged, yeah. So the Terrell Owens of Major League Soccer is Dominic Oduro.
Get your popcorn ready.
And he's eating his Papa John's.
He took one bite and then gave it to a fan.
Yeah, which, do you finish that as a fan? Do you keep it?
Do you keep it? Maybe you keep the box and try to get him to sign it at a later time.
Yeah. I would hate to be given a piece of pizza and not eat it.
It's pizza.
It is pizza. But I don't know
this is America.
I don't know where Dominic Oduro's mouth's been.
Well.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he's a clean guy. But I just don't want to risk it.
He took one. I mean, he took a big bite there.
Yeah.
So he wasn't leaving him with a ton of pizza left.
No.
But I did like that.
Yeah, it was clever.
He is the Peyton Manning of the MLS.
Yeah, he is.
Just shilling that Papa John's.
Way to go, Dom. But the win was also notable because it was big fire rivals.
Yeah.
They beat
a team that we talked about being, kind of a bubble team.
Possibly. Getting into the playoffs, but their chances are really tanking as well.
Not going well the way they've been playing.
No.
That's 2 straight losses.
It is. So we'll see what happens there. So while we're talking a little bit about local football, I'm going to talk about a little development here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I saw the post you put up there on Wrong Side of the Pond, and we had David Satterwhite on from Cincinnati Saints just a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Great interview. He seemed very enthusiastic and excited about the new beginnings here for Cincinnati soccer. And then, what was it, a week ago? 2 weeks ago, maybe?
It was at the tail end of last week.
We get word that a team we were kind of goofing on the other week, the Dutch Lions
of neighboring Dayton,
are expanding to have a Cincinnati club.
They are.
You're not a fan of this.
No, I'm not.
You were not happy about this.
I'm not happy about this situation. So I won't get too much into this because I spent 1,500 words talking about this exact topic on my blog. Please go out and read it. I'm not explicitly against the Dutch Lions. I don't want to make it sound like that at all. I want to see them succeed. I do think, they have their issues.
They were a gracious host.
They were gracious hosts, and they have their own issues. But Cincinnati soccer has had a long checkered history, and we've really not been able to sustain professional teams in this city for any extended period of time. And I spent a lot of time working on a timeline that's on that article, so definitely check that out. But we haven't been able to do it. And it's been a really tricky market for soccer to find a foothold in. And the Saints have taken this really smart approach to how they've kind of launched themselves. It's been very organic and slow and methodical, where they didn't dive in, head over heels into a professional situation where they're having to spend lots and lots of money to build this squad up and build a fan base in the process. They kind of tested the waters by starting really low, kind of in the 5th division as far as outdoor is concerned, and starting in, the 2nd and 3rd divisions as far as indoor is concerned. They didn't spend all this money up front before they had the fans. And now that they've started to develop this fan base and they actually have a crowd that's showing up for it, and not to say that Dayton doesn't have a crowd that shows up for their matches as well, Cincinnati had done all this work to kind of establish itself again. And then the Dutch Lions come in and they put a competing club in the same city in differing 4th divisions, which is even more confusing and will certainly make everything a little bit more difficult for Cincinnati fans to understand.
Yeah, I would say the casual observer is not going to really figure that one out.
They won't get why they're not playing against one another. And now fans in the city have to choose. And it's just a situation where, with how hard it's been to kind of get soccer off the ground here in Cincinnati, we all of a sudden throw into the mix, after things have been going well for a while, this new club. And I just feel like someone's going to lose out. And it could be both the clubs. It could just be one of them. And I don't think that's really fair to the Saints, with all the effort that they've done. So, furthermore, I think a bigger issue that Dayton has to answer for themselves is whether or not this is actually going to kind of erode the work they're doing up in Dayton. Is it going to be confusing for people to see Dutch Lions playing both in Dayton and Cincinnati? And are they the same team? Are they different teams?
Now, what level is the Dayton team in?
So the Dayton team, they play in USL Pro, which is technically the U.S. 3rd Division. And they're the only 3rd Division. When you drop below the 3rd Division in U.S. soccer, things get murky. So there are kind of two competing leagues that the U.S. deems as 4th Division. There's the PDL, the Premier Developmental League, which is associated with USL. So USL Pro, it's their next step down. These are amateur players, usually college players, looking for top-level competition in the summer, a few other guys that aren't playing in college, those kind of things. And then there's the competing NPSL, the National Premier Soccer League, that the Saints are a part of. And it's also amateur. Their rules are slightly different, but it's a little bit larger, a little bit more East Coast-based. And then there's kind of like this murky area where there are professional USL Pro or USL PDL teams that are associated with MLS teams like the Sounders under 23s that have professional players within their ranks, but they can't have any college players on their team. So it just, the whole system's really murky underneath.
I've glazed over.
Yeah, everyone's glazed over and has stopped listening to me. The Saints play in the NPSL, and the new Dutch Lions squad will be playing in the PDL.
Okay.
So we have these two teams that are at the same level but can't play one another outside of maybe if they meet in the U.S. Open Cup, which is really unlikely. Long story short, it's super confusing. And I just worry that Cincinnati soccer's done a lot to get to this point that we're at right now with the Saints, and things seem to be going well, and in comes another variable that we won't be able to really predict how it's going to turn out.
And you were talking about it. It divides the consumers' dollars.
Yes. If one team were in the city.
So those soccer dollars.
The soccer dollars that get spent would go both, from the consumer standpoint, tickets would go to one team, so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But also sponsorship dollars.
Oh, yeah.
There are only so many people that are interested in sponsoring a 4th Division soccer side. And you'd probably prefer, at least as far as developing the Cincinnati soccer scenes, on the whole, that all that money would go into one source and not two. And it makes things more stable, kind of makes things a little bit more viable down the road. But with two people splitting that up, it makes it more difficult for both teams to kind of succeed. So I worry that this is going to be one of those divide and conquer type situations where maybe both parties will end up losing in the long run. You worry about that, and with Cincinnati's market being even more fragile, I'm just really concerned about the situation. So hopefully it'll pan out.
Well, we'll have to keep up on that one.
We will have to keep up on that one.
Do you have a pub for us this week?
I don't.
All right, then.
I'm lazy.
So, I don't know. Do we have anything to plug? Hey, a bit of a plug for one of my favorite magazines, just because I really like this magazine, and I think that everyone needs to go out and buy the current issue. 442.
If you've never heard of it.
Is my favorite soccer magazine.
It's a good one.
Their season preview, they do a double issue.
Okay.
And they chock it full of every league broken down team by team, even into the Sky Bet League 1, the League 2, even the Scottish Premier League, which should deserve 0 ink.
Right. Probably wrap that up on one page.
This is the best league team-by-team guide out there. I recommend you go pick it up. It's like $10. You're actually getting 2 magazines. You're getting like that month's issue plus this.
Well, that's a bonus.
It's a win. And here's how big of a dork I am. Look at this. I go through and I keep track of all
the fixtures.
And then I keep track of all the scores. And then I will even keep track of when dudes get fired.
Nice.
So I have an X over DeCanio's face, wrote down there, sacked, 922.
So it's your handy guide for the entire season.
It is, and I kind of keep track. I have a place here where I eventually, once someone gets knocked out of the FA Cup or the Capital One Cup, the glorious Capital One Cup, I write down how far they make it.
Nice.
So yeah, I've been doing this for a couple years now. Great magazine. Not a sponsor of ours. They can be if they want to.
Yeah, 442. We are not begging.
Absolutely love them.
Yeah.
So,
man, and I thought I was on top of my stuff as a blogger, and now you have this fantastic system.
No, this is called being a nerd.
Yeah.
This is being an absolute dork.
Well, I'm a nerd because I'm fascinated with it. Now I want to do it myself.
I keep win-loss totals, win-loss draw totals here. I write down beforehand who I think is going to lead that team in goals by the end of the year. Like right here, it's Aston Villa. I wrote down Benteke.
Nice.
I think I'm going to be safe on that one.
You probably will.
And then I have them finishing 15th.
Well,
yeah,
we'll be hearing more from this 442 this year. You just got a glimpse into the life of 2 soccer nerds.
Last week you got my eating habits. This week, my soccer nerd habits.
Way to go, geek.
And I outed myself as a Doctor Who fan. I really just blew it on this one.
It's been a fun podcast for both of us, as I've been tripping over every single fact I've tried to spit out today.
You've inhaled an entire lawn full of lawn clippings.
I have. I've definitely shaken out a bunch of grass over here.
That's good.
I hope they won't be mad with me here at the studio.
We'll see about that.
All right. Cool. We'll check back in week 8. If I'm not here, you'll know what happened.
So next week, I'm trying to think, next week is the wrong side of the pond derby.
It is.
Tottenham, Chelsea.
Ooh.
I'm excited.
It is
to
exciting.
watch my team go down in flames. Apparently, I'm going to say it's going to be 1-0 because that's how Tottenham rolls.
Oh, so we're doing predictions on this now.
We might as well.
We might as well.
I'm going Tottenham 1-0.
Tottenham 1-0. It's the scoreline that we seem to be putting in this season.
Kind of your way to do it.
I'm also going to go Tottenham 1-0.
I'll one up that and say it'll be a PK by Soldado.
Oh, man. I was going to say Soldado as well. Either that or a Lamela.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
I like how you love Christian Eriksen, yet you don't think he's going to score a goal.
I don't necessarily. He's going to set it up. Either Soldado or Lamela.
Great setup.
There's my prediction.
There you go.
So.
All right, that's it for us, folks. We'll be back next week because I don't believe I'll be in Africa.
Soon enough.
We'll have a pod next week, most likely.
All right.
All right.
Stay tuned, kids.